initial thoughts on that, Bruce?
Yeah, look, it's not a great look. It's a really disappointing performance. It doesn't read well. I think again we played in spits and spurts here and there. We probably cost ourselves at times in terms of our contested ball and execution in those areas of the ground. Really hurt us a little bit. I think like even in the third quarter, like maybe 7 or 8 minutes in, the numbers suggested that we're on target. I think Cam kicked a goal and we looked good, and then we just couldn't maintain that. We couldn't maintain the rage for long periods of time. And to Freo's credit, they ran really hard. They worked really hard, ran in numbers, and the game was on their terms for long periods. But it's just that type of season for us at the moment, and we're not consistent enough across the field. The one thing we can take out, I suppose, is that we're getting games into young guys that will hopefully gain from the experience. We've got some young kids playing in some pretty important positions. Our LDU playing in the middle of the ground, playing on 5 for periods. Benny Mackay got another experience today on Tabner, who's been going really well. I think Bailey Scott gets another game under his belt. These things are the things that we've got to look at from a club perspective. That's the positive. Today wasn't good enough in terms of the performance, but we get to see these guys match against the best. So that's something that we can look forward to.
Yeah, some of the stats make for pretty damning reading. I think you had your lowest pressure count to half time. You only had 13 tackles in the first half. You must have been seething at half time.
Yeah, look, it's not the type of footy that we want to play consistently. And as I said, Fremantle did a great job. They were working really hard and getting across the ground really well, and we just couldn't match them in that area. And it's plain as and simple as that, really. Like I think we're minus 28 contested ball, minus 5 loose balls. It's it's hard to read that kind of stuff, and that's where the game was won and lost. And I just think if we keep looking at that, we can sit here all day and go through the negatives. But if we want to look a bit further ahead, I think, and get the positives out of the game, which there weren't many, the fact that our kids get another game under their belt, and that's a good experience.
But is that an attitude thing, some of that work rate?
I think it's a culmination of a few things. We've had a not a great season, and we've got to a point where it becomes really difficult for us, and we've obviously had a challenge with injuries. We've got guys coming back after 1 or 2 scratch matches off injuries, like Taylor Garner. I actually thought Taylor did pretty well today, but he only played 1 scratch match. Bonner's come back after a month out, so it is difficult, but we've got to make sure that we find the positives wherever we can. And as I said before, getting games into these kids is a positive that we can take out of it.
Sort of hung your hat from the start of last year on the competitive nature of them going hard and everything.
Yep.
You see them not doing that at the moment. It's an indication of why he's not looking for the line at the end of the season when get done and done with.
Yeah, well, look, I think our group's a really proud group, and we've been hit from pillar to post this year on a number of areas, and it's just got to that point today where it was Freo worked really hard and they showed us up, and it's not good enough. Like I'm not saying I'm not saying that at all. We need to be better in that area, and we need to be more consistent. And I'll keep saying that every week, but that's where it lies. The AFL is an elite competition, and at the moment we're not up to standard.
I mean, at the start of the year, I think the expectation was to play finals. I think you said that in February. So to be where you are now, how do you assess that compared to where you came into the year thinking you might be?
Yeah, and I own that, and that's where I thought. But obviously we haven't got to that point, and nowhere near it. And we played some pretty good footy at the start of the year, but that's a long time ago now. And I think our performances suggest where we are and show where we need to get to. We're 17th on the ladder, and we've got to make change, and we'll make change, and because we've got to get better as a footy club.
Yeah, just further to what Craig said, it's sort of this time last year there was obviously a lot of excitement you coming in and the way you finished the season. It does feel like you're limping towards the line at the moment.
Well, I think the performances over the course of the year, we've been inconsistent. We haven't been good enough for long enough. We've got to make sure that we continue to front up, and we've got to do that against West Coast in 5-6 days' time, I think it is. So we'll prepare as best we can and look to put out our best performance, because we've got to be more consistent than we were today.
Where's Eagle at the moment? Obviously he's spending a lot of time forward. You moved him into the middle, sort of when the game was in that third quarter.
Yep.
I think. Where do you see him at the moment?
Yeah, Jack's come off a long injury layoff. Obviously, he had a reoccurrence halfway through the year. Did a lot of rehab. So we're just slowly introducing him to the midfield, but we're not helping him down forward either. The delivery going inside 50 has been an issue, so we've got to make sure we try and get better in that area. But Jack's, I think he fought pretty hard today. It was just up against it.
In terms of improvement in 2021, where do you see some of that improvement coming from where you are now, 3 wins?
Yep.
To next year, where do you see that coming from?
As I said, when we're at our best, I think our game stacks up. I really do believe that. But when we're not consistent across 4 quarters, then you get found out, and teams find you out pretty quickly. And Freo did that today, and Port Adelaide did that last week in the third quarter, and just story after story in terms of that stuff. But we've got to get more consistent across the board for longer.
In terms of the trade market, do you need to get players in from other clubs to help, or are you going to go back to the draft, or what's your plan?
Yeah, I'm not going to come in here and tell you what we're going to do, but we need to get better across the board. We need to find every avenue to get better, and that's what we'll do.
In terms of injuries today, anyone?
No, not that I can report. No.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.